white comes out. He handles that issue. And now black plays here, which seems to connect up his stones pretty nicely. Um, it also allows white to play here though, and after this move, white is essentially alive. Um, so black doesn't attack this group anymore for right now. Let's take a look at an alternative, which is the wedge I showed earlier. Black could do this and create two cuts, but the problem is, what's white gonna do in this situation? He's just gonna give the two stones away, right? And that's just too painful for black on top. So he actually can't play that way. That's why he plays like this. White lives, and now black comes back to here. He wants to do this center idea still, make all his stones in the center work well. Black responds. The audio or the stone movement or both? I suppose I can't really help you either way. Is everyone lagging or just Kalen? Okay, yeah, it seems all right for me as well. Sorry, Kalen. Um, so black cuts here. He's trying to seal this off still. So let's take a look at their sequence first. Black extends, threatening to cut, and white captures. And now black seals this off, but it's in Gote this time, right? So that's the key thing. The other thing to notice is that there is Aji in this shape. Black has some issues there, and Shuwa uses it amazingly later, which we'll see. So this is actually very important. Let's compare it to something that seems maybe like the same thing. If white plays here instead of Shuwa's move in the game, this is just going to help black. So let's take a look. In this case, maybe it looks similar, but uh, black's Aji is a lot better, right? His shape is good, and there's not he doesn't have as many problems to worry about. So this was the proper way of playing for white. And now what's the big issue on the board? It's dealing with this bottom area, right? And he feels comfortable enough that he just plays this Gote move on the bottom, which is pretty interesting. Normally, when you go to invade, I like to use Shy Ghost's 2-item list for invasion, and essentially all that list is if you can play a Gote move and you're safe, play the Gote move, you've invaded and you're safe, that's fine. If you can't, then you need to play a free move, which essentially is some contact, like a forcing move, right? You try to get free moves in the area and eventually play your Gote move to live. But he thinks this is fine as it is, so we'll see how that works. Um, Black does this in Sente. Um, and locally, black needs to play at A, right? But that would be, of course, that would be way too slow in this situation. So he just gets the few forcing moves and then he attacks white by removing this running direction here. White extends. This is sort of like a contact situation, right? So black responds. White Hanes, he's trying to get more shape. So what's the strong move for black here? A lot of you probably know. Right, the clamp. Good. So that's where Shusaku plays. That's the strongest move. Black doesn't want to do this, right? This sort of exchange, if you compare it to the clamp, is really just helping white a lot. So black plays the clamp, and white also plays the strong move. He plays here. He rejects this variation, which is this is what white would, or this is what black would like. White to respond submissively, get that Atari, and then seal this in. So white's not going to play like that. He comes out, which of course lets black split him. And now both sides get a broken shape. Black gets this broken shape, and white gets that broken shape, right? So they're both destroying each other's shape, essentially. The key thing here is that white gets this move, which is a very useful forcing move. This puts pressure on black's corner. Black wants to connect. For now, black plays here. It's still not completely connected though. And white plays here, which may look kind of slow, but it's actually an important move. It's kind of, Kitani said it's a subtle move. Essentially, if white cuts here right now, these stones aren't quite prepared for it. So let me look some moves here. These stones aren't quite prepared yet. So what white's doing with this move is he's putting some pressure on A while still hoping to play this B move. And black figures it's dangerous enough at this point that he responds and tries to live in the corner here by contacting white. White gets forcing move, another forcing move, connects, leaving the Aji, right? So he's still got the Atari, maybe the Peep for later. And black has to connect on this Dame point. So that's pretty good for white, that he was able to force black to play that move. Black continues to play very, he handles this group in a very positive way. You can see this is a pretty fast move. He's still aiming at some Aji around here because this entire chunk of A stones is not alive, right? If that were to get cut off, that would be dead. The way Shuwa handles his weak group here is actually pretty amazing. So let's take a look. Black responds here. White extends. White blocks. This sequence is pretty interesting. So black is playing all the natural moves. White is pretty much inducing him to play this way, to play this cut. White comes out. Again, black plays the natural move. But now white gets this move in Sente, which means he has a gote eye at A, right? Or he's got a half eye. That's going to be really important later. Now he plays this Hane, which is pretty strong. Again, it seems like black's only move is this cut. Nothing else really looks appealing. But this is all sort of white's plan here. He plays the Hane to induce this cut, and then he plays this Atari, and now he's got a sort of Miai. He's either going to Atari at A, or he can extend at B and make a net against the K5 stone. So letting white Atari at A would be far too painful, so black extends here. But that means white gets this one, and his group is getting a lot stronger, right? Black responds to keep the attack up. And now white is going to complete the net on this A stone. But first he plays a very useful forcing move here. Atari, and we'll see why that's useful later. It's pretty cool. And now he makes the net. Black plays Senta exchange here. And then he peeps. He's still trying to attack this group. White responds because it keeps the entire shape strong, and particularly it keeps his eye shape in this area. Like you might think maybe white could play somewhere else, like jump or something like that. The problem with that is a lot of the eye shape could disappear pretty quickly. So white just plays it the nice and solid way. And black still wants to attack this though. So he keeps attacking. White comes out. White's still coming out. Black has to extend here. You might wonder about this cut. This would be good if it killed, but the problem is this sort of Atari is extremely painful. This sort of A-B exchange is very good for white. And then white still has a move to live, right? It has to be attack with the hope of profit. Shusaku was very, very strong already at this point. The ranks are like old style ranks, so you can sort of ignore those. Right, Robert T's got it. White can live at any time by playing P2. He can also actually pull back here, which may give black some worry about this stone. And now he's got actually still Miai for eyes. So Shusaku's not hoping to kill this group. What he's hoping to do is get sort of like a splitting attack where he can maybe attack A more severely by chasing the big group around first. This part is interesting though. So white knows that he can already live with his A group at any time, which means that black, the cut right now for black isn't really a good move. But what else do we see on this board? Black is starting to get a lot in this area, right? Black has invested a bunch of stones in the center, and if white can break that, that's going to be really important, right? So that's what white does now. He plays this spot that black didn't have time to play earlier. And now he gets to play this strong move. And now we can start to see what these forcing moves were about. Back earlier when white played these forcing moves, the reason he did that is black cannot cut here. White will cut back. And now that's a really big problem, right? So black can't sacrifice the A stones, but he also can't save them because this stone is a perfect exchange from earlier, just waiting there, right? So that's pretty cool. So black can't cut that. So he goes back to building this and chasing white a little bit. And here's his plan. He wants to attack this stone. But there's kind of an issue with this move. Does anyone know what the problem with this move might be? just on principle. No